Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We'll appreciate that. Here to do, I guess I'll be doing two as quick as possible reviews of, just stuff I streamed. The first being the end of the Party Down season 3 of Starz. It was just 6 episodes. It started on the Starz network. It started on late February, I think it was. Reunion show. A lot of these shows have done these reunions. From Arrested Development to Twin Peaks to Veronica Mars. I thought the Veronica Mars reunion series or brought back series was really good. The movie was just kind of lacking. Unfortunately, they raised all that money through a Kickstarter campaign many years ago. But there's been a lot. How many others? There's Fuller House. Now they're doing that 90s show. I mean, it's almost gotten cliche and a bit watered down and predictable. And there aren't too many examples where it's actually been as good, if not better, unfortunately. I think Veronica Mars is maybe the best one. That would be an interesting video to do a series on. But they only did 2 seasons. Unlike some of these shows, like Roseanne or whatever they brought back, or Will and Grace. Party Down was niche show that barely anyone, Starz Network didn't promote, but then found a cult following, especially on DVD, and then, I don't know if it got onto streaming. Became and related to Veronica Mars because it's created by Rob Thomas. A lot of people in the cast or people that on the show ended up, including Kristen Bell, showed up on the original show. But they did a couple Paley Center event, or Paley Center, whatever that was, where they'd reunion and stuff. They wanted to do more with it. They were going to do a movie after the Veronica Mars movie was successful. They were going to do a movie. It never happened, but then they talked that it was going to happen for a number of years. It finally was announced. It was late last year, 2022. Yeah, we're going to have another season. It's going to be on. Then more details came out about Lizzie Kaplan, who plays Casey, was unavailable, and she's on this new show, which I can't remember the name of it, with Jesse Eisenberg and Claire Danes. I think it's on Hulu, which might be worth checking out. I know Jesse Eisenberg plays this psychiatrist or something, psychologist. Anyway, she wasn't able to do it, which she was pretty essential over the cast. The one cast member that I wish could have come back that was on the original show at one point was Jennifer Coolidge. When Jane Lynch had to leave to do Glee, she replaced Jane Lynch. Then Jennifer Coolidge was gone. I think it was for the second season maybe, or in the second season rather. Somehow Jennifer Coolidge didn't come back, and then I don't know if she was doing True Broke Girls or whatever, but then Megan Mullally came on. Megan Mullally shows up, but she's not with the catering staff in these 6 episodes. She's just a mother and friend of the caterers and showing up at some of these events. Mother of a child, or her child's trying to become an actor and stuff. And so there's one episode centered around her prom thing. Anyway, the point being is Jennifer Coolidge nowhere to be found. Neither is Lizzie Kaplan. I don't know if Jennifer Coolidge will ever show up. But that all being said, the rest of them were back, and it was similar kind of style. They added a couple new cast members, which I did like. In fact, I didn't pull that up. But one of them, let's see here. One of them was the woman who was, Chow. The woman who was in, I saw her in the high school reunion movie? No, movie with Rebel Wilson. Let's see here. I have it up. My apologies again. Yeah, okay, we do have the cast here. Zoe Chow, which she plays the antagonist in that movie with Rebel Wilson, where she goes into a coma and comes back, 15 years later or 20 years later. Senior year. It was actually pretty good, but Zoe Chow plays the head chef or whatever, something like head, And then there's Terrell Jackson Williams, who's younger. I mean, Zoe Chow I think is probably a little bit younger than the cast too, but it's quite, because I looked at his history and he was doing stuff on Nickelodeon and stuff like that. Anyway, but he's funny. I really liked him. He's he does he's not an actor, he does content online. And then you had Jennifer Garner, which I think having her in the show, and then Jane Lynch did come back. But she's in a different role too. She's not part of the staff. She's like becomes like an owner, an investor of sorts. Because Ken Marino's character doesn't have. He basically owns Party Down, but then they're losing money anyway. But Jennifer Garner becomes a love interest for Adam Scott, which kind of see that coming. I used to like Jennifer Garner when she was on Alias. Yeah, she was in Juno, and she's done a lot of stuff since. My wife isn't really a fan of hers, and I'm not crazy about her. I don't hate her, but I don't love her, and so I guess given the circumstances, she was okay. She had her moments. Anyway, the show was hit and miss. I thought the premiere episode was funny when you had Ryan Hanson's character actually getting a role and he doesn't get it, and then of course you have Martin Starr, who's my favorite character. You could probably say he's my favorite character on Party Down too. I mean, I like Adam Scott a lot too, but and he's like he's still not done anything, and he's just, his scripts he's a screenwriter, and hard sci-fi and everything like that. But I mean, compared to like History of the World Part 2, this was much better. But this is spoiler alert per se. The last episode, the final episode, which aired last Friday, did bring back the Casey character, and the intention is because I think she wanted to do it. It's just conflicted with her schedule with that other show. I should just pull it up. So the intention is she wants to be able to do, if they do more, she'll be on it for the next season or whatever. If they do a movie or a series, or probably another season. Fleischman is in trouble. I mean, Adam Scott is on Severance and also on this. So I don't know why she wouldn't be able to do it. It's just a matter of timing. Why Lauren Graham had to leave Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist because she has on another show. I don't know. But I gave it a mild thumbs up. If you're a fan, it's pretty silly not to watch it. If you were a fan of the first two, but I would just say the first two seasons back in 2009, 2010. If you're expecting it to be as good as those two seasons, I mean, there were some cameos, some guest stars. They had a few, Bobby Moynihan, and I'm trying to remember some of the other guests they had. That was kind of one of the shticks about the original series, is that you had these celebrities and that celebrity showing up on it. But J.K. Simmons and Kevin Hart and Steve Guttenberg, like all the Veronica Mars alums and stuff like that. I think given they only did 6 episodes too, there's probably more room to do more. They kept on changing the timeline, they kept working COVID into it and everything like that. And I think, I still feel like Martin Starr, he's hilarious. He's almost a genius in a lot of ways. On Silicon Valley, he got enough play. I felt like at points on Party Down, he just didn't get enough. And it was hit and miss with him on this series. I thought Terrell Jackson Williams helped add more to what I would normally want from him, the plots. I think the two of them should do more scenes. I mean, you have Ryan Hansen. I love Ryan Hansen too, but James Marsden was on it. He was on and that was, again, the first episode was probably the best of the 6 episodes they did, but so yeah, I mean, I'd give it a mild thumbs up. Let's see if they can do another season and see if, a little bit like the Psych movies, because the first Psych movie I thought was just okay. I thought the last 2 were much better, and so let's see if there's interest. If it did well enough, they're going to get another season from Starz, or if another network, like maybe Netflix would just pick it up. So speaking of TV, there's another TV series I want to check out that I kind of heard about, but it's called Lucky Hank, something like that, with Bob Odenkirk playing like an English teacher. And it's got some of like the cast from different comedies, like Cedric Yarborough, some other people, but it's on AMC, and I haven't seen the first 2 episodes, so if I get into that, that'll be reviewed. So anyway, moving on to the next review, Women Who Rock. I can't remember what network it was originally on. I should know it, but it was very exclusive. Women, let's just see here. It's 4 episodes, and this might not be the only season of this, female rock. Let's see here. What network is it? Apple, Epix, EPIX. That was the network, and we didn't have access to it. So, but it got picked up by Amazon, and so I guess it's also on Apple Plus. But I would say the first 3 episodes were good. The last episode, not so good. In that, not only most of the music they talked about I didn't care for, it wasn't really remotely rock and roll music. Shania Twain, not really. She's country pop. Missy Elliott again. She's up for the Rock Hall, but I mean, Beyonce. Come on. The previous episodes, like the ones from the '90s and the '80s and '70s, they didn't talk about Olivia Newton-John. They didn't talk about Barbra Streisand. Really, they didn't talk about Madonna. Why? The only thing I can conclude is that they probably did when they were making the film. The creators of this series sent out emails to a bunch of label reps and people in the industry, and whoever they got messages back and whoever was available to shoot, those are the ones they went with. And just for the last 20 years those are the people that participated. And, of course, those people that talked about the other stuff, like Macy Gray, which she was kind of relevant about 20 years ago, but I haven't heard her name in at least more than 10 years. But that being said, at least they did enough on Heart. They did enough on Janis Joplin. They covered a lot of the base. They covered the early stuff. Sister Rosetta Thorpe was mentioned, of course. Not a lot on Grace Slick. They were trying to kind of include female artists that were not just singers. I mean, some of it was singing, but of course they did the Runaways. They talked about the Go-Go's. Not that much, but enough. Vixen or Fanny. I think Fanny. I don't think they did much on Vixen. There definitely were holes in there. They did a little bit on the Bangles. They interviewed Susanna Hoffs. Janelle Monáe, not mentioned at all. For my taste, my favorites, of course, Renaissance, or even for that matter, take Sandy Denny and, Fairport Convention, the Carpenters, Karen Carpenter really was. So they really didn't do a lot on stuff. So my hope is maybe if this is a series that they have the budget and the means to make, they could continue to make another season and they could cover other artists they did not. Kind of like the WDGY show, Girls of, whatever is Women of Rock and Roll or something like that. There's a show on the radio locally here, WDGY, that on Sunday mornings that featured on just women who rock, or I forget what it was called. Anyway, I used to listen to it, but they had Miss Piggy in one episode and they had Dolly Parton, but they included any and all women who were featured really were, Joan Jett, of course, Pat Benatar, I mean, they had a lot of the usual suspects, but there's stuff they could do another season. They could include the Pointer Sisters or Climax, who my wife loves, or there's a lot of music in the pop and rock, and then you can include maybe some funk and R&B and even disco and pop in there just to get a little more thorough with some of it. Part of it is getting the interviews, and if it's going to happen, it may take another couple years, because I'm sure this took a while just to get all these people to get interviews and, all the editing and all the licensing and all that stuff to get taken care of just to make a documentary series. So, like the Party Down season, I give it a mild thumbs up. I mean, is it worth watching? Sure, if you're a music fan. Is it the best documentary I've ever seen? No. And again, the final episode of the last 20 years and change was pretty questionable in a lot of ways. I mean, they talked about Lilith Fair. They did show Jewel. They didn't show women who did a lot of the Roots stuff. Women who did Total Babe Records, who I figured they would have talked about, because they talked about Lilith Fair. Ani DeFranco. I figured they would have done something on her. I mean, they showed Sarah McLachlan this year. They did some, of course, the Indigo Girls and 10,000 Maniacs and Natalie Merchant. Amy Mann was in there. I mean, there were a lot of people in there. It's just, there's a lot of women out there. The only thing about it is they didn't really address the sort of percentage of women in the music industry, which I think is a valid point. And the people that love to sort of look for the women in the Rock Hall, everything, don't really bring up. I mean, it's fine, but it's like if you look at the history of rock and roll, rock music, metal music, heavier rock music, what percentage, and then just musicians in general, that's not a good thing. It's just a statistic, a fact. It's just a kind of objectively to consider, and that's why they need more recognition, but we just need more in general. And like this band out of Scotland that I'm interested in checking out, Ebb, The Warning, or Warpaint. You know, we need more multiple women in bands, songwriting, producers. They didn't even mention Linda Perry. Now, of course, I would have liked. They talked about Cheryl. They interviewed Sheryl Crow. Kevin Gilbert could have been mentioning these women. He actually produced Linda Perry's, I think it was her first record, but it's very reasonable to think that Linda Perry went into becoming a music producer because of her work working with Kevin Gilbert. Would have been interesting. Maybe Linda Perry could be included in the next episode because we need more women producers and, you know, engineers and, you know, but anyway, you know, say like kind of 6, 7 out of 10. You know, 3 to 3.5 stars for both Women Who Rock documentary series and for Party Down. Lucky Hank, and there's other stuff coming up, of course. You know, but yeah, no, I mean the television series season is winding down. We're gonna get new stuff. There's stuff about Cobra Kai coming up recently. That's coming. Only Murders in the Building. There's other TV is still, of course, coming, but you know, there's shows that have come out this fall that I haven't, or this year that I haven't watched that much of. Like So Help Me Todd, we watched some of, and didn't watch the Quantum Leap reboot. I'm hoping some of this stuff happens, like the Babylon 5 thing, and I don't know what's going to happen with the Battlestar Galactic thing. That thing's on hold. The Orville, maybe. We're going to wait another year for Stranger Things. So there's definitely TV. There's movies that I'm interested. They're in the works, in the pipeline, but over the last few weeks, it's kind of been, you know, Women Who Rock, Party Down, and History World Part 2. So, but anyway, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.